Welcome back and happy Father's Day. So the other day, someone asked me a question and it goes a little something like this. You are a very strong and successful woman. How influential was your father in shaping you into the woman that you are today? And the answer is that my father had everything to do with me becoming the person that I am today. And then the follow-up question was, what was the most important life lesson that your father ever taught you? Well, that question is impossible to answer because I don't believe that there is a single most important life lesson that my father taught me, because he's taught me so many things. But I do remember the first life lesson that my dad taught me. So I was an ugly duckling. Seriously, I was. And I can remember when my physical appearance started to change and I started to come into my own, and I was all about myself, getting compliments left and right. They were bolstering my self-image and my confidence. And a guy says to me in my dad's presence how beautiful I was. And my dad could tell that this just lit me up inside. And he turns to me and he says, you should never let anyone else determine how you feel about yourself. And that was it. And from that day forward, now, I didn't make the change miraculously to stop caring what other people thought or what they said. And I appreciate compliments, don't get me wrong. But people are fickle and they change their minds all the time. One day they love you, the next day they hate you. One day they think you're beautiful, the next day they think that you're hideous. So in order for your life not to be so significantly affected by other people and their opinions, you have to internalize who you are and how you feel about yourself, and never let anyone dissuade you from that opinion. He also made sure that I understood that I was special and that I could be anything that I wanted to be. But that was determined solely by me, not by what other people thought of me or who other people thought I could be. And considering that my father was a very conservative, Southern, traditional man, that opinion, I think, was a bit rare. He wanted me to be educated and independent, and that brings me to the second thing that my dad taught me, and that was always put yourself in a position to be able to take care of yourself financially. You never want to, as a woman, you never want to depend, and in his words, you never want to have to depend on a man for money. And along the same vein, he made sure that I had things. So he would buy me things. And the reason that he said that he bought me these things or allowed me to have these things was because he never wanted me to be excited by money. Now, I was a total daddy's girl, in case you couldn't tell that already, and I talked to my dad about everything, literally everything. I probably should have left some things out, but I didn't. And we talked a lot about men, especially because, I was very naive, very green. Like I said, I was a late bloomer. So when the time came, I trusted him more than I trusted anyone. And so I wanted to know his opinions about men, how they were. And he told me, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. And when I first went to college, I had a lot of issue with that because I had grown up in a very sheltered environment. So when I went to California for undergrad, I was exposed to a lot of different people from different backgrounds. I was exposed to a lot of shady people as well. That was probably my first real experience with people who were shady. And they would tell me one thing and then do another, and I was very confused. And when I would talk to my dad about this, he would say, you can't necessarily believe what people say to you, but you can believe their actions. And I find that true today. I will look at what someone does, and they can tell me all day long that they're a certain type of person and this is what they believe. But if you watch a person's actions, that will tell you all that you need to know about that person. And that brings me into the next thing. I think we're on number 4, and I don't really know. My dad, one of his most famous expressions was, all a man has is his word. And he lived and died by that. If my dad told you that he was going to do something, come hell or high water, he was going to do that. And I find that that's so lacking nowadays. People will tell you whatever, not follow through. You can't believe anything that anyone says. I try my hardest. If I tell you that I'm going to do something, that is what I'm going to do. And hopefully you can set your watch by it. Number 5, and I think this one's from the Bible, just phrased in a different way. Show me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. Who you associate with says so much about you as a person. If you're not a drug addict, you're not going to hang around drug addicts, because when you are around certain influences, you will become that. You can fight against it, but that's who you're going to become. And typically you are drawn to people who are like you. There was a time when I was having issues with friends and not being treated the way that I thought I should be treated. And the next 2 items stem from that. And my dad was the king of the teachable moment. So he would never just come to me and say, you know, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. He would wait for the moment when something had happened. In the moment, the message is much more powerful and it sticks with you a lot better, and you can actually reflect on it and it makes more sense, and you can decide how to incorporate it into your life. So, having trouble with friends, and I had always lived by the old adage, treat people the way you want to be treated. My dad tells me, no, you treat people the way they deserve to be treated. And since then, that's how I approach people. Of course, when I meet people, I am nice to everybody. I'm genuinely a nice person. And I give people more than one chance to be good. But if someone is repeatedly dumping on me, if someone's repeatedly treating me horribly, I am not going to continue to be nice, loving, and supportive to that person. And that brings me to the other thing that he would always say to me, and that is, no one can walk all over you unless you lie down first. And I think that when I was younger, I had a problem with that because I wanted to be accommodating and I wanted to be nice, and I would get taken advantage of. I am not that person anymore. I don't let people take advantage of me. And okay, what are we on? Number 8. I think I just got carried away and I haven't really been numbering, but this is more like a conversation, so probably the numbering doesn't matter as much, but let's just say we're on number 8. And that would be, well, I'll tell you a story first. So I can remember there's a 5-year difference between my sister and I can remember her dating, and I don't know if I doubt that this was her first date, but some guy rolls up to the house and honks the horn, and she's like flying out of the door. My dad grabbed her and he's like, are you kidding me? You don't go out of the house when some guy honks his horn for you. What is that? You are showing him that you have no respect for yourself. He needs to be a man, walk to the door, and come into the house, introduce himself to your parents, and then you can leave. And along with that, my dad also believed that that you should, well, probably just women, shouldn't have sex before marriage. Now, that's very antiquated, I get it. In telling me those 2 things, he was trying to relay the same message, and that was, you must have respect for yourself if you expect other people to show you respect. So my dad was an entertainer, not that kind of entertainer. Like, he just loved entertaining people, having parties, having people over. Growing up, we had parties every Friday and or Saturday. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he had the energy, the desire to entertain people that often. I like to entertain too, but I don't want people at my house every Friday and Saturday. Anyway, the two things about entertaining. One, he said, always keep a clean house, because you never know who's going to stop by. And I live by that to this day. I am fanatical about having my house clean. For me, yes, but also you never know when people are going to stop by, and it would make me uncomfortable if people were over and my house was a mess, and I'm sure it would make them uncomfortable too. With the entertaining, he would also make sure that he had liquor on hand. Now, he stopped drinking as he got older, but before that, always had liquor, beer. So I always have a nice mix of adult beverages that I can share with my guests. And he always had great music. I think music can bring people together better than almost anything else. The other thing was, yes, my dad was a great entertainer, but he was also a great guest. And he told me, never arrive empty-handed. If you're invited to a party, if you're invited to someone's home, you don't go without bringing something, whether that's dessert, wine, a dish. Never show up empty-handed. I've had people come to my home with whatever, let's just say a bottle of wine, and then take it back when they leave. Seriously, don't come to my house again. Anyway, I just wanted to share the things that my dad taught me. I miss him dearly. If your dad is still alive, cherish him, hold on so tightly, because that time is limited and you don't know what it's like to want and would give anything to just see my dad, hear his voice, hear his laugh, have him tell me a stupid story. Like, you don't realize how precious all of those things are until you don't have it. And so just hold on so tight and be good to your dad, and dads, be good to your daughters. So again, happy Father's Day. And now for a bit of housekeeping. If you are already subscribed, thank you very much. If you have not yet subscribed, now's a great time to do so. I would also like to say thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.